For the professional riders themselves, winning Milan Sanremo, La Classicissima, is not only about a cycling monument and eternal glory. It's also epic because it's so complicated. A competition in which sprinters can win by arriving together after 7 hours of effort, or a brave solo rider can achieve success. It's so complicated to win that it's more than a challenge. Do you want to hear about 7 incredible ways that Milan Sanremo was won? Well, without further ado then, let the show begin. Marc Gomez, 1982. This 27-year-old French rider was making his professional cycling debut in that early 1980s season. In the ranks of the modest Walber-Spittel team, he had only been a pro for 7 days when he decided to jump with 20 other riders just after leaving Milan. That year, the Cipollini was for the first time on the route, and maybe for the glory and grace of the fast Italians who also knew how to climb, Moreno Argentine and Giuseppe Cerrone. From the break, Marc Gomez, with his rugged pedalling style, escaped with his compatriot Alain Bondou, a fast rider of La Redoute and a world champion in the pursuit. Both took 7 minutes off the bunch before the Cipollini, and they reached the Poggio with more than 3 minutes of advantage over the group. Just at the start of the descent, Bondou incomprehensibly fell, and Gomez was left alone in the lead. After more than 260 kilometers in the breakaway, he crossed the line as the solo winner. In a later interview, he said that he didn't plan to win, but that he wanted to be at least seen and admired by the fans. A legend. Laurent Fignon, 1989. The two-time Tour de France champion had already won Milan Sanremo in the 1988 edition, but this Frenchman, known for his bad temper and glasses, decided to up the ante the following year. With thermonuclear legs that would make him win the Giro d'Italia and lose the Tour de France by only 8 seconds, he attacked on the flat before the climb to the Poggio, with Superconfex's Dutchman Franz Massen, who was riding in a gregario role for the German man Rolf Goltz. However, on the climb to the Poggio, Fignon not only maintained the gap to the bunch, but increased it, maintaining a spectacular cadence that he was able to continue in the downhill and the flat kilometers to Sanremo. Winning La Primavera twice in a row while being a Veltomano? It can be done. Claudio Chiapucci, 1991. Although he later became known as Miguel Indurain's main rival in the Tour de France, El Diablo was only recognisable in March 1991 for having come close to winning the Tour de France the year before, after a bidon breakaway in the first stage. That year, however, he took the big leap forward at the age of 29, with his new Carrera outfit treatments, by attacking with 170 kilometers to go on the descent of the Ticino. Together with other men like Adje van der Poel, Marino Lejarreta, Rolf Sorensen and Charlie Motet, they caught up with the other escapees, but Claudio was undoubtedly the most on fire of them all. He launched several attacks and eliminated one by one all his rivals, including the Dane from Ariostea on the Poggio itself, to enter as the solo winner with a 47-second lead. Worthy of his epocha. Giorgio Furlan, 1994. One of the easiest and at the same time incredible ways to win the Milan Sanremo is with the best doping doctor in history on your side, as it happened to this Italian of Givis Balan. Tuned by Michele Ferrari himself to the point of being part of 2 historic photos, one being part of the triplet of the Flèche Wallonne of that same season, and the other as being winner in Sanremo 1 month earlier. Taking advantage of the work on the climb of the radioactive Evgeny Berzin, Furlan attacked shortly before the summit of the Poggio, and on the descent of the legendary Transalpine Mound, he pressed the turbo on the downhill, and as if he were Valentino Rossi himself, he made some spectacular turns on the curves and accelerated on the straights to achieve a lead of more than 20 seconds on the bunch, and arrive, despite the extra kilometre of flat included, alone on Via Roma. Maurizio Fondriest, winner in 1993, had no qualms about saying that Furlan was one speed ahead of the others that day. Mario Cipollini, 2002. Il Re Leone was undoubtedly the world's best sprinter during the 1990s. His legendary sprinting prowess had given him multiple victories on all kinds of stages, but he had never won the only monument that could be achieved by a man like him, the Milan Sanremo. In 2002, however, he had the help of the Spanish doctor, Efumanio Fuentes, whom, according to Gazzetto dello Sport, had paid huge sums of money to become the world's best prepared cyclist at the age of 35. That year, Paolo Bettini topped the Poggio with a 15-second lead over the pack. But the men of Cipollini's second Acqui Sapone team picked up the pace and they caught him with 1 kilometre to go to the finish line. There it was impossible to beat him. As in his best times, and from the centre, Pavarotti launched his sprint and sang the Traviata, raising his arms on Via Roma, in the face of all his rivals. Arnaud Demare, 2016. You can also win the Sanremo with controversy. In the 2016 season, France had already gone 24 years without winning a cycling monument. And this fast Français de Jouman managed to win in the Via Roma sprint ahead of Ben Swift and Jurgen Roelandts, arguably one of the cheapest Sanremo wins in recent years. However, Demare came under fire from riders such as Tossato and Capecchi, who claimed to see the French sprinter clinging onto his team car on the descent of the Cipressa after being left behind on the climb. For them, it was a fraud of competition, which did not deserve to be won by a guy who had cheated. Demare deleted the data from his personal Strava account that day, adding to the criticism and the cancellations of the French cyclist. Of course, we've never known the truth of a highly controversial victory, lest the UCI want to be open with the audience for once. Vincenzo Nibali, 2018. But we could not leave without mentioning an epic victory of a man who was not exactly characterised by his speed, but who still has this beautiful classic in his palmares. An already veteran Nibali and a different rider to whom had won the Tour de France 4 years earlier, pedalling for Bahrain Merida, attacked on the Poggio de Sanremo and caught up with Burgart, Sagan's domestique, proving that, on this day at least, he was undoubtedly the strongest on the climb. As usual, he took his chances on the descent of the hill, but only had a meagre 10-second advantage. The shark gritted his teeth, and behind him the chasers didn't come to any effective understanding. They did come close to catching him, but the lone man managed to beat the pack, who were thundering along the Italian Riviera behind him. Few triumphs more beautiful than this one that I can think of to say goodbye to a video that I hope you liked a lot. We'll see you in the next one.